Hey everyone, I'm Jen, and I own a veterinary technician relief business.
And I'm Michelle. I own a veterinary technician mobile house call business.
And you are
And you are
listening
listening
to
to
Endless
Endless
Journeys,
Journeys,
the Vet
the
Tech
Vet Tech
Odyssey
Odyssey podcast.
podcast. In this podcast, we will be discussing and meeting with credentialed technicians who have created their own path with business ownership within the veterinary space.
Our goal is to help inspire burnt out vet techs before they leave the industry altogether through our stories and the stories of other vet tech business owners. Hey everyone, it's Jenn and Michelle here, and welcome to Monday.
Hi, welcome to Monday, aka Thursday.
Thursday.
Thursday for us.
Thursday for us. Yes, we couldn't. Yeah. It's normally we release on Mondays and we record on Mondays. So when you're listening to us, we actually recorded the episode 2 weeks ago. And that way it gives Jen time to record. But my baby sister was visiting me from out of state this week. And so we actually came on here at a Thursday night. So I kind of feel like it's a Monday now.
Right? I know it's going to be it's going to feel a little bit weird for the rest of the week, but
Right.
Now we just record when we can. Everything's happening so fast. And even though I'm only publishing episodes every other week, I still feel like we almost can't keep up with the time. So,
Yeah.
but we'll get the hang of it. It'll happen.
Yes. I feel like we're already getting smoother and smoother every week. I feel like
Yeah.
we're getting a little bit more into our groove.
Yeah, I feel
Yes.
like that too. Yeah.
Yes. So how's your week? How's weekend and relief ER?
Weekend was good, like always. Just relaxing, went to a concert Friday, Saturday, had a lake day with my girls. It was that, oh gosh, I just love hanging out with my girls. They just make everything better, especially after a work week. And then Sunday is like my usual if I don't do anything. Monday, we actually did record an episode.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah,
that
we
was a good
recorded
episode.
on
Yeah.
Monday, and then I worked Tuesday and Wednesday this week. I'm cutting it down for the next month just because with the podcast and with everything that I have going on behind the scenes, I am actually cutting my work weeks down, and it's actually been really nice. So it's been good. Just, ER cases. I just was telling Michelle before we officially started recording about a rough case that I had last night, and just, you just have those nights where you go home and you cry, and then you lay on the bed and you just stare at the ceiling and you disassociate for a little bit. So that was my night last night, but today is a better day, and you just keep moving on.
Keep trucking on. Yeah, and then during the pre-recording, I was talking to Jen. I was having an equally sad moment. We actually got started a little bit late because one of my awesome favorite clients, and she's not only one of my favorite A-plus clients, but she's that A-plus client all around that'll come into a vet clinic, and she takes us very seriously. She loves our profession. She just suddenly lost her 12-week-old puppy. Went from wagging its tail, everything normal at 10:30 to hospitalized by 11:30, oxygen, and then deceased by 3:30.
Oh
And
my gosh.
so I talked to her for about 20 minutes, and just hearing my owner cry was making me cry up a little bit. And this is a second pet that she's had suddenly die on her within a year. And her other dog had acute, let me make sure I get this right. It's been a while since I've been in a clinic, so I want to make sure I get my terminology right. Jen, you may need to help me on this one. Acute kidney failure.
Yeah.
And a 2-year-old, otherwise healthy, male-neutered mastiff. And it just broke my heart. And so that happened right before pre-record. And then as I was chatting to Jen, my other good client just texted me and told me that her dog has a mast cell tumor. So yeah, it's one of those moments where I'm just like trying to now focus on Jen and focus on you guys and try to make happy of it, even though I have 2 people that mean a lot to me who are in a really, really bad spot right now. But we're gonna make the rest of the episode nice and enjoyable. That's why it's called Burnout. And
and that's vet med, right? Oh my gosh, I feel like even just like having what we started in this conversation already, like that is what vet med is. It's dealing with a really horrible case or having to perform a euthanasia, and then the next exam is a fun little puppy for puppy vaccines, and you just have to like get it together and be happy. So I mean, it's sad. I feel like we kind of just went through that just this week, and now I mean, that's the pattern though, right?
Yep. And then next week it probably will be puppies and happiness, and this week it's sad, sad, sad. So yeah, that's why I'm glad we're kind of covering burnout today and the different ways a mobile tech or a relief tech can kind of burn out of the industry a little bit.
Yep. Yeah.
Yes. So this week, oh my gosh, it's been a crazy week. So I only worked a couple days this week. Today, Thursday, and I'll be working Friday, and actually Saturday is a makeup day. I took the rest of this whole week off. My baby sister was in town, so I don't have much work to go off of. But I would definitely say one of the best highlights I had this past week was I had this original client. Like, she was, I think, my second referral that I ever got. So she goes way back. And her dog Duke passed away about 2 years ago. And I saw her every fourth Thursday, and though our system was great, so she was actually always in meetings. So I would always just walk into her house, like slip under her desk, like army crawl under her desk, and trim her dog's nails under her desk, and then crawl out the entire time she was in a meeting. Like, it was like a master system that we had. And I loved working with her. And her dog unfortunately passed away. He was like 12. And I haven't heard from her up until this week. She called me to tell me, Michelle, I have 2 new puppies.
Oh, yay.
Yes, that's the best. For me, that's like one of the best things I can get is that call from a client who I haven't seen after their pet passed away. And they're like, hey, Michelle, I got a new pet. And I'm like, I get to see Karen again. I get to catch up.
Yay.
We get to talk about her. She literally does a lot of hiking. Like, she actually goes out to Nevada and hikes with her son all the time. I always talk about her traveling. She does so much. So just to see her again, I'm super excited. So it's definitely like the highlight of my week is just getting that call of I get to see my old client again and catch up. So that just makes, that's just the best for me. And if I had any lowlights, it would definitely have to be the moment I just told you about very suddenly before we had the call is my other good client telling me about her puppy. And then also one of my favorite clients, Brittany, telling me about her pet having a mast cell tumor. I haven't gotten back to her yet, but I'm going to text her as soon as we're off and get the details and, see this right out with her because she is Brittany. And if you're probably listening, I got you, girl. So I'm going to find that out later on. Yeah. I'm very emotionally invested in my clients.
I mean, yeah, as well as you should be. I mean, I think that's one of the gifts of what you do is to have those type of relationships, which that's not something that I experience. I experience my relationships more like with the people that I work with and things like that. So I feel like that's definitely unique, and it's not something that enough of technicians and assistants really have. So I think that it's really nice, and that's something that you should cherish is that relationship that you do have with your clients, and that they do call you like that, and that you are there for them.
Yeah, always. Yeah, it's more unique. I'll go a little bit more into the emotions, but it's definitely when you're a mobile vet tech, it's so different from working in a clinic. It's got its own different set of emotions behind it for sure that I didn't know existed.
Yeah, for sure.
So Jen, how about you? What was going on with your week?
So my week was pretty decent. I don't think it was all that bad, in all honesty. I would say my highlight, which doesn't really pertain necessarily to work, but it kind of does. It pertains kind of a little bit more to the actual podcast, but I love like walking into work and then having people that I know who I know are listening to the podcast, and they immediately are just like, I love what you guys are doing. I love what you guys are talking about. And then they just want to talk about it. And then I've had people be like, oh, I have topics for you. And then just having those genuine conversations, just even in clinic, and being able to have real talk with assistants that I work with or other LVTs that I work with, and just opening up that conversation. I really love that. And I had that opportunity when I walked in on both of the days that I worked. And I absolutely loved it. It was just, and it was really inspiring to me just to know that people are listening, people are inspired, and we are making some sort of difference.
Yes.
So that was a highlight for me. I really love that. My low light that I had this week is what I was telling Michelle about. We had this really bad case that came in. I had a stat that came in. It was about, I had literally an hour left to my shift, and we had a stat that came in, and me and another LVT were working on that stat. And then in the middle of that, we had another stat called. My assistant went and triaged it, brought it back, screaming for the doctor. It was a little shepherd puppy, about 13 weeks old, and it looked like she had had a chest tube in. And when I had asked, I said, does she have a chest tube in? The answer was she had one, and it was removed today. And it was just like this little sweet puppy that was in respiratory distress. It had a cone on, apparently had just had heart surgery, and it was just really devastating to see this little puppy that was in so much distress. And it was really sad. I don't know. It's just really hard for me. And I was telling Michelle, I was like, it's really hard for me to see cases with puppies now, because I have a little puppy. My little puppy is 13, 14 weeks. And I see, I work in emergency, and of course I see awful things all the time. But when I see these like sad little puppies that come in distress, it really has been like tugging at my heartstrings more than it normally does. And I remember looking at my really good friend, and I looked at her and I was like, I can't take that case. I'm so sorry. And she looks at me, she's like, it's okay. I was like, it reminds me too much of Todd. And I'm like starting to tear up. She's like, oh my gosh, I can see you starting to cry. I'm like, I know, I can't do it. And she's like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. But then of course I feel bad, because obviously she doesn't want to deal with it either, because it's sad, but
yeah,
it's just right now, I think it's a little bit hard. And I was telling Michelle, it was like one of those cases where I got in the car and I could not stop thinking about this poor little puppy and how, she was probably feeling and how scared she was. And like her little life was the way that it was already at 13 weeks old. And then I got home, and I remember I just like laid in bed and just started disassociating and staring at the ceiling. And my husband's like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I had a really bad case, and I don't know how to process it, and I'm just sad. So, and I think that, again, that just is going to correlate into what we're talking about today with how we have to deal with sad things, and how we don't know how to handle them, and we don't know how to deal with them, which essentially does lead to burnout.
Yes. And it's very possible and I feel like a lot of techs maybe think that if you own your own business, it's always going to be good, because you can control the situation. You can control your business, that everything's going to be good. And that's not always the case. Jenn can't control what comes in the doors at the clinics that she works at. I can't control the type of clientele that initially makes contact with me. I can't control the emotions that come behind seeing these pets every month in their home. And so it's definitely a different set of emotions. I feel like they can run deeper. And I was thinking, Jenn, with you, I mean, I know at one point you had mentioned your relationship is much more pure with the patients, because you don't have to worry about the clinic politics, because again, you're relieved. So it doesn't matter if Susie got Saturday off and, Jen got lunch bought by the doctors, whatever. You're focused on the patients. But I would imagine that would also have the exact same reverse effect, because your focus is so much more pure with the patients. You might get more emotionally involved with the patients too.
Yeah, that's probably true. And I feel like, I don't know if everyone's like this, but with veterinarian people or veterinary professionals, we are really empathetic. And we feel really, really deeply. At least I know I do. So I know that when I see a case or I see a pet, sometimes I will literally put myself into that pet's situation, and I'll start thinking about how I would feel. And, so if you have like a dog that just got hit by a car, and we're bringing him into the clinic, and you see this scared look on his face, and you just already know, like, he's in pain, he's scared, he's hurt, He's surrounded by strangers that he doesn't recognize. His family's in the lobby also freaking out, and he can feel that energy because dogs feel our energy.
They do.
And so all of that goes into my head. And I'm automatically thinking, okay, we need to get this dog some pain medications. We need to be gentle. We need to be petting them. We need to be kind. We need to, all of those things, because I couldn't even imagine how I would feel if something that scary had happened to me. And if you think about how we feel when we go into the ER, if something like that would happen to you, and then think about, then you're an animal. You literally can't even speak the same language. You don't even know. You have no idea what's going on. You don't know if everything's going to be okay. And so those are the things that go on in my head. And I work in emergency. So that's really difficult to handle sometimes. And sometimes I can't handle it. And I don't know how to process it either. So that can be really hard. And I don't know if I'm the only one that's like that. I feel like there's probably a lot of people that feel that way in veterinary medicine. So that makes it a lot more difficult.
Yes. So, yeah, and it's burnout. It leads to burnout. So hopefully today we can talk about burnout on both ends of the spectrum, and that way we don't feel alone in this world of veterinary medicine. We're all in it together, no matter what end of the spectrum you're on.
Exactly.
Yes. And yes, now it is time for question of the week. If you've been listening, me and Jen like pulling these questions. If you ever have a question for me or for Jen, feel free to email us. You can also comment in any of the posts or anywhere. If you have any specific questions for us, we would love to read them on the show and hopefully help you guys out. I actually pulled this question very recently from the Unattached Vet Tech group that I thought would really help out today. So somebody in the group had asked, most of my business is pet sitting, and I have a few regular clients, but I was looking into doing some kind of monthly nail trimming event. My question is, how do I book people or have them sign up, and where to post? I'm thinking it would be a Saturday, a certain amount of time slots for the time frame. Example, 10 slots between 10 and 12. And that's what she wrote. So I don't know if she's meaning she's going to be somewhere and the pets are going to come to her, or if she's going to be going to the pets' homes. So if she's going into the pets' homes, this is how I personally would do it, and this is how I did it in the beginning. If you're going to pick one day to do it, like let's say Saturday, the first thing I would do is make sure you have that Saturday off from your clinic job. I know it's hard, but try to make sure you get that Saturday off, and then 4 weeks after that, and then 4 weeks after that. Because if you want to start building clientele, you want to have a very regular schedule, and you want to pre-book and keep your clients on track. So the first thing I would do is go into your local community groups, your Facebook groups. I'm not a fan of Nextdoor. It's very hit and miss, but just go on there and advertise your credentials. Hi, I'm an LVT. I worked in a clinic for this many years. I have this many certifications. I'll be available this Saturday morning, afternoon. If you're interested, just send me a message. And I would leave it at that. I wouldn't give anybody time frames or time slots yet. When these new potential clients message you, I would say, hey, I'm still building out a route. I'm still adding people in. Do you have any time constraints I should know about? Put the ball back into their court. Once they come back at you and they say, I have to leave the house by noon or I won't be home until 10, work around that and start building people around that. And then tell them, all right, I will do that. I'll work with you the best I can. The night before, I will have a 2-hour window time frame ready for you. If you have any additional time constraints that come up, just let me know 40 hours in advance. That way you're leaving an open line of communication and you can fill that route. That's going to be the best fuel efficient route, if you see what I mean. You can also add in people, take out people. That way you're not committed. And God knows half the people are going to cancel on you. There's going to be people who ask the night before to get in. It's just what's going to happen. So in order to protect yourself and set your clients up for success, a 2-hour window time frame the night before, but generalized questions beforehand. If you have any time constraints, let me know. It'll be morning, afternoon. That way you're already setting yourself up for success. You're not saying, yes, I'll be there at 1, but then another person says, I can only make it at 1, and now you're having to choose between 2 clients. You want to give them a broad time frame. Communicate. Me personally, I always tell them, hey, I will send you 2 messages. My first message is, I just arrived at the appointment before you. They're X minutes away. I will send you another message as soon as I leave here. That way they know, all right, she's going to be coming soon. And then as soon as I leave that house, I send another message saying, hey, I'm on my way. That way you're setting yourself up and that client up for success, and you're not giving an exact time frame. Even 1 hour time frames, I had run into too much trouble with 1 hour time frames because of last minute cancellations, last minute accommodations. So the 2 hour time frame is really nice. They don't have to block off an entire day. They have a general idea of when you're coming, and they can still kind of handle their day how they want to, and they know that you'll eventually be around within that 2 hours.
Wow, that's really smart. That's not even something that I thought of, but that's actually a really good idea.
Thanks. It took me 3 years to figure that idea out.
Yep. That experience, it'll take time. You have to make a lot of mistakes in order to figure out what the right move is. And so failure is not a bad thing. Failure just means that you're going to do better next time and you'll figure it out. And that sounds like that. I mean, if that's how you learned, that's awesome. That's great advice. I love that.
Yeah, thank you. It did take a while. And in the beginning, I will say I did that. I would be like, yes, I'll be at your house right at 3:00, because I'd have maybe like 1 or 2 clients that day in the beginning. So it's easy for me to set myself up and show up at 3. But then as time progressed and my schedule changed and I was adding in people, moving people here, I started to realize that that's not going to work. I need to give a 1 hour window time frame. And even at that 1 hour window time frame, I was still either waiting in my call for 20 minutes, or I was flying, speeding, trying to get to the next one. That 2 hours, it's a nice buffer time frame. And yeah, it did take me trial and error after a course of 3 years. Yeah.
And I can see probably how it would probably take a little bit of time too, because some people might want to talk a little bit more and you don't want to rush them, and you want to build that rapport and you want to build that relationship. And so you also want to accommodate for that time for people who genuinely just want to talk and make time. You don't want them to feel rushed, and you don't want to feel rushed either.
Exactly. Yeah. It gives everybody enough time to talk, chat. If they have questions, there's some clients where I'm there 10 minutes. There's some clients I'm there for 30 minutes, and it could change at a drop of a dime. There's times where I'm like, okay, cool. This client, she always takes like 7 minutes. We're in, we're out. We take care of business. She's on to her next project. I'm on to my next project. And then one day she's got questions and I'm there for like 30 minutes. But I'm like, this is the only time she's ever asked me questions. I'm sitting here. Like, let's sit down. Let's have a cup of coffee. Let's discuss this. So you just never, ever know. And it really does. It sets you up for success. And I will tell you this. Y'all, we're competing against Comcast, who will be like, we'll be there between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m.
Oh, yeah. And then sometimes they never show up.
Yeah. So believe me when I say that 2 hour time frame compared to all that, it's small. It's doable. Yeah. If a client can't commit to a 2 hour time frame, then move on. They're going to be difficult to deal with.
Yeah. That's so true. I love that.
Yeah.
That's a great answer. Awesome. I love that.
Yeah. So hopefully that user in the Untouched Vet Tech group will find that answer helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool. All right. So this week, as we mentioned, we're going to be talking about burnout, whether you're a relief tech or a mobile tech, and how you can burn out, and hopefully how we can help ourselves stop from burning out. Me and Jen had actually talked about doing this probably a few months ago when we first started Compass Show Ideas. However, just recently, I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts, The Bird Bath. If you don't listen to The Bird Bath, go listen to that. It's like a 15-minute industry rundown. I love that one. Every Tuesday morning, that's the first one I listen to. I am always ready to hear Ryan from The Bird Bath. But he actually mentioned this survey and talked about the newest, I think this is the only survey or anything I've heard about burnout. And that's when I went and found the survey and looked at it as well. I confirmed with Jen that we definitely want to discuss this. And this is a snippet from that survey. Jen, did you want to read it off?
Yeah. All right. Okay. So this was a survey that was published on June 24th by Serenity Vet with Talkatoo and Galaxy Vets. Relief work is on the rise. According to the AVMA, the number of relief veterinarians increased by 30% from 2008 to 2018. A 2022 VIN poll found that over 14% of veterinarians had seriously considered switching from full or part-time roles to relief work, while an additional 31% reported daydreaming about making the change. By 2025, relief veterinarians made up more than 9% of the veterinary workforce in private practice, an increase from just 6% of the year prior. Common reasons for choosing relief include greater flexibility, escape from an unhealthy workplace culture, and more control over your scheduling. Yet, the 2025 AVMA report on the economic state of the veterinary profession shows that burnout among relief veterinarians has been climbing since 2021, and they report the lowest satisfaction with the profession overall.
So, Jen, you do relief, so I feel like this is more your ball court. Like, what do you think about this?
So, I mean, I will say relief work is definitely on the rise. I've seen so many relief veterinarians, more relief veterinarians than relief technicians for sure. And I remember working on shift one time and they were talking about a relief veterinarian. Yeah, it was a relief veterinarian that was going to come on. And I remember one of the full-time doctors kind of rolled her eyes at it and was like, yeah, it seems to be the thing nowadays.
Oh.
And it kind of made me giggle a little bit because they know I'm relief and they know that I'm a really big supporter of relief. So I kind of thought it was funny that she said that in front of me. And I didn't know if I don't know what she was getting at but I thought it was kind of funny. And so I totally agree with the common reasons for choosing relief. That was the reason why I chose relief. I think it's interesting, though, where it says the 2025 AVMA report shows that burnout among relief veterinarians has been climbing, and they report the lowest satisfaction with the profession overall. I could probably see that a little bit. I don't know. I do follow... Oh my gosh, Greg Eccles on Instagram. Too. Okay, I love him.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I love him so much. Yes. And I love the fact that he talks about relief. He talks about, I believe he started with a company and that's how he started doing relief. And then there was some shady stuff that happened with that said company and he ended up leaving and now he started his own LLC. And he's so successful. He has his own website and he's just great. He's also a social media influencer. And he talks about how as a relief veterinarian, sometimes the relief veterinarians get the shit end of the stick with certain cases. And I remember him talking about how sometimes he will get the really crappy cases or he'll get really the aggressive patients or he'll get the little bit more difficult clients because the full-time staff doesn't want to deal with them. So he actually put in his contract, because it was happening so often, that he actually ended up putting it in his contract that he will not see like certain follow-up cases because he's like, I'm relief. I don't even know what's going on with this patient. Why are you having me see this patient? I don't have a rapport with this client. And this is obviously an ongoing chronic condition that kind of thing like that. So I have kind of heard that a little bit, or I've heard in some cases where even with relief technicians, if there's a difficult client, they will put the relief technician on that case because none of the full-timers want to deal with it. So let the relief person deal with it. And I personally have not had that issue, thank God, but I can kind of see that. I can see that a little bit. So I don't know if maybe that could have something to do with it. Also definitely with the fact of, I know in the beginning when I started relief, I said yes to every single shift and I got burnt out so fast, like just within a month, to the point where my body was telling me that we needed to slow down because I got so sick. And I remember my husband even telling me, he was like, I thought the whole point of you going relief was to slow down and to not work as much and to be happy. And you're not doing any of those things and you're working more. And I'm like, well, I'm trying to build my business right now. I'm just trying to build that rapport. I'm trying to build that reputation. But me getting so sick, I already knew as soon as that happened. I was like, okay, yeah, I did this the wrong way. Yep. Okay, I learned my lesson. Thank you. I gotcha.
Yeah, no, I get that. And I just want to say cheers to Greg Eccles on that one for putting that into his contract. That way he could slyly like make sure he's not working with difficult clients. I think that's amazing. So cheers to him for that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that really sticking out to me. I remember him making a comment on that, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's not even something that I thought about, but it seemed to be happening to him a lot. again, to the point where he put it in his contract. And again, that's what happens. We just talked about that with you, where it took you so many times to learn. You're like, okay, we're going to change this up a little bit. Yeah. And I kind of had to do that a little bit too with certain things. And I've heard a lot of horror stories with relief work too. I remember I've had a lot of people tell me, do not agree to do multiple shifts with a clinic that you've never worked with. Only work one shift and see how you like it, because it could be horrible. And then if you've already committed to all these other shifts, then you have to stick with it. And I will say I heard that and I didn't do that. And every time I didn't do it, I was like, oh God, is this going to be the time? Thank God I have not had that experience at every single clinic that I've done relief for. I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed the people. I've not had a bad experience with these brand new clinics. But in the back of my mind, I'm always like, oh gosh, like, because I'll sign up for like 3 shifts in a row, because if I'm traveling 3 hours, which is what I'm doing, I'm driving 3 hours. I don't want to drive 3 hours to do one shift.
For one day, yeah.
Yeah, that's not worth my time, and it's not worth the money for just one shift. So, yeah. But there's certain things, or there's even one that I've recently just had to put in my contract where, again, this hasn't happened to me, but it's been hinted a little bit of, if I'm coming and I'm working for you and you send me home early, you're still paying me for my full shift.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I'm not getting paid by the hour. I'm getting paid by the shift. So if you send me home early, because I've had people be like, well, it's really slow. Do you want to leave? And I'm like, well, I traveled all this way to be here, so I'm going to be here. But if you're going to tell me to leave, you're still paying me. So wouldn't you rather just have me here?
Yeah.
If you're going to still pay me for the full shift. So that's, again, it's not happened, but I remember there being some shifts where it was a little slow, and they asked me, they're like, do you want to be sent home early? And I was like, no, because I'm here to work. And if you do send me home early, you're still paying me for the whole shift. Me. So
hell yeah, I drove 3 hours.
It's a lose-lose for you guys. And they're like, oh yeah, no, you might as well just stay. And of course, I don't sit on my butt either. You know, even if it's slow, I'm finding something to do. I'm cleaning. I'm keeping myself busy the whole time. So yeah. So that's another thing that I have on my contract. Another thing that I have to kind of help prevent that burnout as well on my contracts is I am scheduled for this shift and this shift only. So that means that if I'm scheduled from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., I'm leaving at 6 p.m. no matter what's going on. That's it. And there will be people coming on shift that can relieve me. And if I'm not leaving at 6 p.m., I think I have on my contract, I have about a 30-minute grace period. But then anytime after that, you're paying me either 1.5 times more than what I'm already getting paid, or 2 times more than what I'm already getting paid. Yes. And I can guarantee you, with what I'm already getting paid, you don't want to pay me that 1.5 to 2 times more. So it's a win-win for me, because I'm either getting off on time no matter what, or I'm getting paid a hell of a lot more than I should be getting paid just for staying. So that is another boundary that I have. And because I used to be the yes girl, I used to be the girl that picked up all the shifts. I used to be the girl that was like, oh, okay, I'll just stay an extra hour. Okay, well, now I'm staying an extra 2 hours. Oh, okay, well, now I just worked a full 24-hour shift because so-and-so didn't show up, and now they're short-staffed. And just becoming that yes girl all the time has made me put that in to say, yeah, no, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not going to be the yes girl. You just end up super drained. You end up really tired, and you end up hating your job. And then your body gets sick, right? And that was something that we talked about with Jesse's interview, of a lot of these girls are starting to, and I've seen it more in women than men. Obviously, we know that men are working in this field as well, but I've seen it way more in women, where they're starting to get these immune diseases, and because we're burnt out and we're tired and our bodies are tired. So that is something that I have to be pretty strict about. And I know that a lot of people aren't necessarily happy with that. And then I also have on my contract that I get breaks. So I get at least two 15-minute breaks
Smart.
and a 30-minute lunch break, because some of these girls, they don't take breaks. And I've had some of these girls that wear it like a badge of honor.
Oh, no.
I remember working a shift, and it was a morning shift, and I don't really work morning shifts. And so if I don't eat at a certain time, like my stomach just starts to hurt and it growls, and then I get grumpy. And I remember being like, okay, I'm going to take a quick 15 and I'm just going to eat a quick snack. And the girls looked at me and they were like, well, you can just eat out on the floor. And I was like, no, I don't do that. I don't eat out on the floor because I personally don't think we should be eating food out on the treatment floor. It's just not sanitary. And second of all, like, no, I want to take my time. I want to go and just have a quiet time for just a little bit and take my break. And this is an ER that I do this, okay? Like I've dabbled in general practice, and I know sometimes like they can walk away. ER people, they don't do that. And I remember as an ER person, I used to wear it with a badge of honor, and I used to never take a break. And I've worked at ERs where you don't technically even have a lunch break. You just eat when you can. And It was kind of nice because we still got paid for the full 12, like we got paid for that full 12-hour shift, but it was stressful because it's like, I don't know when I'm going to eat again. Sometimes in ER, you don't have time to just sit down and eat. And I didn't realize that it was actually impacting me for the worst. And like I said, I was one of those girls with a badge of honor where if somebody was like, well, I want to take a break, and I'm like, rolled my eyes, and I was like, we don't take breaks here. That's not how it works. And I used to be that girl. And then now I'm the girl that's like, I want to take my break. And then I've had people look at me and they're like, oh, well, I don't take breaks. And I'm like, okay, well, that's good for you. I'm happy for you. But I need my break because I used to be like that. And I ended up hating everything about vet med. And I almost left vet med because of it. And I didn't realize that that was a pattern that I was proud of at the time, but it actually wasn't good for me. And now that I do take breaks, and now that I do take that time to just kind of walk away from, even if it's for a short period of time, it makes a huge difference because I'm able to rest my brain. I usually listen. I'm a Swiftie, so I'm gonna admit it right now. Like I love Taylor
I like
Swift.
My girl Taylor, yeah.
When I take my breaks, I literally just blast Taylor Swift, and I either scroll on my phone or. Lately I've also been editing during my all of my breaks for the podcast, but that's okay. But as long as I'm not on the floor, and as long as I'm not listening to the fluid pumps beeping, I'm not listening to stats being called, I'm not listening to people screaming for a doctor, like you just got to get away from it a little bit. Yeah. So that is also something that I used to not do, is take breaks, and I used to be really proud of it. And now I'm the opposite. Now I take my freaking breaks, and I know that I need them, and it's okay for us to have breaks. And the fact that I think that so many of us think that if you take a break, it means that you're weak or you're not meant for this world. You're not meant for this. You need to take a break. Like, come on. Like, what does that say about us? That we have to be so hardcore? No, like we need to be kinder to ourselves. You have to be kind to yourself.
Absolutely. Or else you're just going to end up old and sore and tired and cranky.
And bitter.
Yeah.
And bitter.
Yeah.
You're going to be bitter and you're going to be angry.
Oh.
Like I'm going to admit, when I was that person who didn't take breaks, I was an angry bitch. I was not a happy person. And now that I have boundaries, and now that I know that I can see when I'm getting burnt out, and I can take that and I can say, okay, I need a break, or I need to slow down a little bit. And even when you're burnt out, it means that you need to slow down. Does it mean that you need to slow down forever? No. But you're going to have seasons where you're like, okay, I need to slow down a little bit more right now because I'm burnt out. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. I'm tired. I have no sympathy for my clients or for my patients. I mean, all of those things those are signs of burnout. I mean, when you get to the point where you just don't care anymore, that means that you're burnt out.
Yep.
And when you get to the point where you're sleeping most of the time and then you wake up and you're still exhausted, that means that you're burnt out. And that means that you need to slow down. But like I said, does it mean that it needs to be that way forever? No. But you have to be able to say, okay, there's something wrong. and I need to address it and I need to change something about it. And it doesn't make you a weak person. It doesn't make you not a team player. That's the thing that pisses me off more than anything, is that when you do slow down or when you do start saying, you know, I need to take a break, or all of a sudden you're just not a team player. All of a sudden there's something wrong with you. That makes me so angry.
No,
so.
It does. And then it's that badge of honor, man. That badge of honor's got to change. Like, self-care should be a fucking badge of honor, man.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
That should be a badge of honor. And I was kind of the same way, even though I wasn't in emergency. I was in GP. When you were talking, I remembered back when I first started, and this is so gross, but this is true. I worked at a clinic that no longer physically exists, but you didn't have lunch breaks. And there was a thing on the, like, right by where you punch in out, said, if you do not punch out for your 30-minute break, the manager will dock 30 minutes from your pay, because they knew it was against the law. Again, this clinic no longer exists. And I had so much fun there. That clinic was wild. And I mean, like, the good kind of wild. Like, our office parties were like damn near X-rated. Like,
oh my gosh.
We were wild, y'all. Okay. And I wore that badge of honor. I'm not taking a break. And I remember one time I was on the microscope reading a urinalysis while eating a bag of Cool Ranch Doritos at the same damn time.
Oh my gosh, that's gross. I mean, but that's come on, that is kind of what we do. Like, I know I used to do the same thing. I know but it's like, if you really think about it, it's like, that's disgusting. Come on, that's gross.
It was gross, but my God, I was like, I got a job to do. I'm young. I gotta prove myself. I gotta get this done, but I'm also hungry. My breakfast included a Monster and a cigarette on the way to work.
Oh my gosh, that is not okay.
That is okay. And now that I'm older, like, my breakfast is now a granola bar, of course, avocado wheat toast, of course, 1 cup of coffee, and water throughout the rest of the day.
Yeah, that's me too now. Yeah.
I don't smoke anymore. Thank God I quit that. But it's such a difference. I think also too that may come with age. You know, this was also the Dorito while reading a fecal incident also happened in 2009, I would say, and now we're in 2025.
Yeah.
So I'm older now. I'm gonna be like, ooh, germs. Like, I'm not gonna do that. And ooh, smoking's bad. I want to be able to take a walk. And Monsters damn near destroyed my stomach. So.
Oh my gosh! If anyone, literally, the crap I give people at work about their freaking energy drinks, and because I drink 1 cup of coffee a day, and then the rest of the day I drink water, and then I see all my coworkers, they're all drinking Red Bull, and they all have headaches, and they're all tired, and they're all sipping on their energy drinks, and I'm like, you guys, energy drinks are not good for you. Stop drinking the energy drinks. And they're like, well, how else am I going to stay awake and work through my shift? And I'm like, I drink 1 cup of coffee a day. And they're like, well, that's because you're an alien. There's something wrong with you. And I'm like, no, this is how your body is supposed to just create its own energy. We're not letting our bodies create their own energy. And I honestly think I'm gonna be that person. These energy drinks that we're drinking, they are not helping us live our life to the fullest. They do not make you feel good. They keep you awake, but there's other things that you can do. There's other healthy things that you can do that can keep you awake. If I can work friggin' 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. shifts on 1 cup of coffee that I drink in the morning when I get up, then you can do it too. It's feasible. But now all these people, they drink so much caffeine and now they have to go through those withdrawals, and that's horrible. Like, that is awful. And I totally get that too. But
yeah, you would have thought I was heroin withdrawing when I stopped my Monsters.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we're not taking good enough care of ourselves, and then we just feel like crap because we're not eating right. We're maybe not even getting 3 meals a day, and then we're just hyped up on caffeine. And again, we think it's like a badge of honor, or sometimes like you see on TikTok and you see people making jokes about it. But in all honesty, it's really sad. And it does frustrate me a little bit too when you have these clinics that are almost promoting the caffeine, because they'll say, oh yeah, well, we've got a vending machine, and we've got energy drinks for you. And it's like, okay, can we do something that's a little bit more healthy? Even though people want it, let's promote things that are more healthy.
clinics have vending machines? I've never seen one in all my years as a tech. I'll be damned. That's impressive.
I know
say.
that Veg does, and one of the clinics that I work at, they have vending machines, and then they also have like this thing that there's like you can collect money for like doing good things, and like the supervisors will pass out the money, and then you can spend your money on stuff, but then it's like full of candy and it's full of energy drinks. And it's like, I can see what you guys are trying to do, and that's great, but can we promote things that are more healthy? That's just how I feel. And I know that there's a bunch of people out there who are obsessed with energy drinks, but it's not good for you. And I'm going to be that person, because I'm already that person at work where I yell at people when I'm like, how many Red Bulls has that been? And they're like, 3. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? That is not okay. And then they, I'm just that person. And I'm like, no, you need to drink water. And they're like, well, I have a headache. Okay, because you need to drink water.
Water.
That's my rant.
No.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I will say every once in a great while, I will have a small Red Bull. And when I say small, I mean like that itty bitty size, the smallest size you can get. And I get it sugar-free. And I can tell you, because I'm such a person of habit, I notice it's always like on the same routes. Like my longest routes of the day where I'm like 20 some appointments, usually about that 2 to 3 o'clock mark on that same route. So I'm going to say like 3 routes a month, I will have a small Red Bull energy drink. And I feel so bad for those clients who I see post drink, because I'm like, hi, Mrs. Smith. How are you? How's Fluffy? Yes, I had a Red Bull. I'm wired up right now. And they know I'm honest with them. Like, I don't think this person on my Lake Orion route, like if you're a client and you're on my Lake Orion route, if you are anytime after 2:30, I don't think you've seen me without a Red Bull. But that's like the only time I do.
Right.
Other than that, it's like water all day out of my Chewy Stanley cup.
Right.
That's what I do all day. So I feel like in moderation, it's good, but definitely not what I was doing in my younger years or what your coworkers do. When I was drinking like 3 Monster BFCs a day and, mixing it with Mountain Dew. And oh God, dear God.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
So that's my little self-care rant. You need to drink more water. Drink more water.
Yes.
But moving on to Michelle and your signs of burnout and what causes your burnout, and then we'll talk about setting those boundaries.
Yes. So because I'm still new, I don't think I've had any signs of burnout, but I have noticed agitation. I have noticed fatigue, and I've noticed patterns. And I'm a very person who I like everything to be the same thing over and over again. So if I see a pattern change or like the same pattern happening, I will take note of it. So it's taken me a while to realize like, this is burning me out. This is upsetting me. I can't do this anymore. Rather, it's something I'm doing within my schedule, some sort of behavior I'm tolerating from a client. Those are the things that have burnt me out in a short term. But then once I fixed the problem, I felt better, because again, I'm only in year 4 of my business. So I'm still learning, like I'm still figuring this out for myself. And I know we talked about like the boundary issues, and one of my biggest things, unless it's an emergency and a well-established client, I will always say, no answering your phone after hours, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. If it's after 5 o'clock, let it go to voicemail. And if they don't leave a voicemail, don't call them back. If they're not going to have the courtesy to leave you a voicemail, don't chase them down. There are still exceptions to that rule. I will say this, even right before me and Jen hopped on the podcast, it was after hours, but my good client had called me and I was like, I'm taking this call right now, because she didn't text me, she called me. So I knew something was wrong. So I want to be there for my well-established clients. So I say if it's a well-established client and they're calling you, not texting you, chances are they have a real concern. Something's upsetting them and they want to talk to you. That I feel is really important, because that usually doesn't happen unless it's an emergency. And I will always be there for those clients. Now, when I say don't answer your phone after hours, I mean the, hey, how much do you cost? What's your availability? I'd like to get on your schedule and I want an answer now. No, bro, you don't need an answer right now. You can hunker down. It's Saturday evening. I'll call you back Monday morning at like 9:10. That's what I mean by setting those healthy boundaries, because you're going to waste so much of your time that you should be spending at home with your spouse, with your kids, with your dogs, on answering general inquiries that may not even turn into an appointment. You may spend 10 minutes on the phone with a client, a new potential client, somebody you never met, who's got questions about how you set this up. Do you have references? And then once you talk about how much you cost, they're like, oh, I'll call you back. And you're like, what the fuck? I just spent like 10 minutes on the phone with you talking to you about your pet's behavior. Now, because of my prices are too much, you're not going to book with me and I just wasted my time. That will lead you to burnout. What won't lead you to burnout is saying, oh my God, that's my good client, Brittany. She never calls me. I'm picking that up right now. I don't care if I'm eating dinner with my husband. That's my girl. I'm taking that call. So there's definitely that healthy boundary of when to answer your phone and when not to answer your phone. I also say on your voicemail, have an outgoing voicemail. Mine says if you're calling about a pet, please allow up to 48 hours for a response. I'm either driving on the road or helping another pet. Please do not hang up and keep calling right back. Leave me a voicemail or send me a text, and I assure you I will get back to you. Because that also drives me up the wall is when a person that's a non-established client will call, not leave a message, call right back, and keep calling. Like, that will get a new client fired instantly. Like, if you pull that shit with me, you're not seeing me. I will call you back, and I'll tell you I'm not taking on new clients, and that's that. Like, won't do it because I already see how this is going to go, and you don't want to bring those people on. If they leave you a voicemail, you call them back during your normal business hours. You are a small business. You're not a 24/7 answering service, but you are open for your clients when you have time if they have concerns. Because I generally care about my clients and I want to be there for them. And I certainly don't want my clients Googling something and getting inaccurate information when they can call me and I'm going to help them because I care about them and I care about their pet. So it's a balancing game, y'all. Boundary number 2, setting the schedule you want, not what clients want. And it's like Jen said, when she first started out, she was the yes girl. I was the yes girl. We were all the yes girls. I would have a client message me, be like, Michelle, can I see you at 9 p.m. on a Saturday night? I'm like, oh yeah, I'll be there. No problem. Now I'll be like, absolutely not. I don't work Saturdays. I don't work the evenings. If you're not available by 2 p.m., I'm sorry, I can't onboard you because I want to be home ideally by 4:30 at the latest. So I'd say my first year of business, I took any client that needed any time frame. If they got home at 7:30, I would be there at 7:45. And that was making really long days, really long nights. So at probably year 2 of my business, I started saying, if you're not available by 3 o'clock, I won't be able to onboard you. And you have to be available Tuesday through Friday because that's my business hours of operations. And once I started doing that, my schedule started to really settle in and I started to have a more comfortable work-life balance. And those old school clients, I still have a few left over. It's been 4 years now, so a lot of those clients have moved away. Their pets have passed away. And now anybody else coming on, actually now I bumped that time frame up to you have to be available no later than 2 p.m. So if you tell me you're not home until 2:30, I won't be able to onboard you because all those slots are already filled with people who've been on my schedule for years. So now I have like the perfect schedule to where I basically leave at like 10. I'm usually home by 4:30. And I don't want to say I regret working that hard in the beginning because I brought on some amazing clients and some of my best OG clients are still my evening clients, but I don't have any of them left. And I feel like if I would have continued down that path, I would have burnt my ass out and I would have been tired because there are some nights I wasn't getting home till 9 o'clock at night. And that's just not, I ain't doing that anymore. No. No. So yeah, start yourself off early with the schedule you want to work. Look at your schedule and say, I want to work these hours, these days, and you only onboard clients that fit into that schedule. Work the schedule you want, not what others want out of you. Another big one, working after work. Just because you have a business doesn't mean everything shuts off at 5 o'clock. For me, I still get emails after 5 o'clock. I still get inquiries after 5 o'clock. But one thing I do, and I just started doing this last month because I'm still learning, like I'm still learning how to balance out my life, is my husband, I would come home and I'd be on my phone. I'm answering clients. I'm setting up my route. I'm closing out my books for the day. I'm working still. Even though I'm not with a client, I'm still doing all the back work. About a month ago, I pulled up into the driveway and I'm like, let's just close out my books tonight in the driveway. Let me just do it while I'm here in the driveway. I'll finish up this podcast that I'm listening to. And then I was like, well, let me finalize my route for tomorrow while I'm in the car. And then I started messaging back all my clients while I was in the car. And then I noticed once I got inside the house, I was able to like separate that work aspect from my home aspect. And then I could actually kind of like spend more time with my husband, and I wasn't so disconnected from him. I wasn't, hang on, honey, I'm texting Mrs. Smith back. Give me like 5 minutes. No, I already texted her back in my car. You don't know I was out in my car for the past 25 minutes. I don't even think he still knows that, actually. Because I'll pull up to the house and I'll put my car in park, and I can be in there for up to 25 minutes, 30 minutes, answering 20 text messages, making sure my route's in place for tomorrow, closing out my books for the day. And then I'm able to walk into my house. I don't have to worry about anything. Everything's been shut down for the day. And I can watch the Golden Girls, hang out with my dogs, eat dinner with my hubby. And he doesn't feel like I'm ignoring him, because he was for a while like, Michelle, you're always on your phone. And I'm like, well, I have to do this for work. Now I just hide out in my car and I just get home a little bit later.
Nice.
Yeah. And like I said, I just started that like a month ago, bro. And I'm like, that's probably one of the smartest things I started doing so far. It keeps the family happy, because now you're at home with your family. You're not on your phone. So answer whatever you can in your car, in your driveway, before you open up the garage door. Because once I open up the garage door, I'm in the house within 2 minutes and I'm done.
Right.
Yes. So yeah, no working after work if you can avoid it. Another thing, and I think this is across the board, no matter if you're doing relief or if you're still in a clinic, no matter what part of no matter what aspect of veterinary medicine you're in, answering medical questions for people that are not your clients. Remember, who's buttering your biscuits at the end of the day? That's what you need to keep in mind, right, Jen? I mean, do you get them a lot, like people randomly message you saying, hey, I got a question. I'm so and so.
I only have people who I literally don't talk to. Literally the only time they would ever talk to me or message me was when there was something wrong with their animals. And that was it. Never like, hey, do you want to hang out? It would be like, hey, this is what's going on with Fluffy. And then I would help them, and then they'd be like, okay, cool, thanks. And then I wouldn't hear again from them until they had another problem with their animal. So
yeah, I ignore them now. I ignore that shit. I won't even give them a response, whether it be friends or family. I mean, no, I take that back. It depends on who it is, but I hate that. I'm like, no, if you only talk to me once every, 5-6 years, and it's always the same thing. Hey, Michelle, I have a vet question. I'm like,
yeah, no, sorry.
Yeah, I had one girl inbox me from my past. I used to like party with her when I was like 21, and she sent me a message saying, hey, Michelle, you're the best vet I know. I'm like,
oh my gosh,
first of all,
you're like, I'm not even a
vet.
veterinarian.
Yeah.
Which would piss me off even more.
It pissed me off even more, because I'm
yeah.
like, bro, the last time I saw you was like when we were in college.
You're like, obviously you don't know me at all.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Bye, Felicia.
Yeah. And it was what I loved the best is like, she's like, you're the best I know. Like, you're trying, I see what you're doing here. Like, I see, no, I'm the only one you know. Like,
right.
And I know what it was, is her sister, just knowing who they are. I guarantee it was one of those things, if her sister had no money, got a dog, the dog was sick, and they're looking for free care, and she's, oh, I know somebody. No, you don't know somebody. No. Nope. And so I feel what's happened to me a lot is on the professional side of it, is I've had people who I don't know, not friends, not family, just total strangers, be like, oh, you're a vet tech. I have a question about my dog. And because I was, again, people pleaser, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, I would help these people out. I wouldn't prescribe, diagnose, or prognosis, anything out of my scope, of course. But I would consult with them for like 20, 30 minutes, like about whatever it was. And then would they book me for an appointment? Fuck no. They got their information for free. Like, they're going to move on. They're going to go up to like Pet Supplies Plus for $5 and get their nail trim.
Right.
So that really started to get to me. And I had an instance not too long ago where I had one of my good clients try to hook me up with their neighbor. And this burnt my cookies so bad. And it pissed me off to the point where I have to say, now as a business, if we're not talking about your pet, I'm not giving you advice, because would have clients be like, so my brother's sister's side piece has this dog. And I'm like, I don't care about them. I care about you. But I had a client, he wanted me to do his neighbor's dog's nails. He was like, hey, Michelle, why don't you come meet my neighbor? I think you'd be good at trimming his dog's nails. So why don't you come on over and meet him? I was like, yeah, sure. So after the appointment, even though I had more appointments to go, I was more than willing to go over there and introduce myself, give him my card, tell him, hey, next time I'm in town, book an appointment with me, not a worry, I'd love to see you. And he was under the impression that I was just going to walk in and do it right now. The client did. He was like, oh, you can't do it right now? I'm like, no, I have a whole onboarding process. I can get you in next month, though. I was like, here's my number. Reach out to me. And he did. He reached out to me. He made an appointment. And on my onboarding form, it says, please give me 48-hour notice if you need to cancel. What do you think bro did? Canceled on me right before the appointment. Right before the appointment. I was pissed. I'm like, I had a feeling he was going to do that. And I was like, so I just wrote him off. I'm like, whatever. Yeah. You just wasted my time, because I think he thought that he was going to get a nail trim like right then and there that day.
And probably for free.
Yeah, because I was already like right across the street, right?
Right.
But what got to me was a few months later, my client, I was working with them and their cat, started asking me questions about a dog. And I'm like, well, you don't have a dog, you have a cat. And was asking me questions about a transmittable disease. And I caught on to what my client was doing. He was asking me about the neighbor's dog across the street that had bailed on me a few months ago. And I picked it up and I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm not answering that, because it's about your neighbor who wasted my time twice.
Yeah.
And I was pissed. So I have a feeling that neighbor put my client up to ask me about that. Like yeah. And I was pissed. I wasn't mad at my client, but I was so mad at that neighbor. And I'm like, how dare you waste my time twice and then expect to convince my client to pick my brain for free for you? Right. So now whenever I see that client, I always look at that house and I'm just like, ugh. And that really ticked me off, was a lack of respect. And to think that this person thought I was some sort of open book of information at their disposal.
Yeah.
And to try to have my client do that. So I say this, start putting that boundary up ASAP. If your clients are asking you questions about their friends' dogs or family's dogs, have some sort of boundary that says, I'm sorry, morally I can't do this, legally I can't do this, ethically I can't do this, because it's going to tick you off when you're helping out all these people who are not going to pay for your time. You help your clients who are paying you. Again, who's buttering your biscuits?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you so much for tuning in to Endless Journeys, the VetTech Odyssey podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and found some valuable insights. If you did, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please leave us a review and let us know what you think. You can also connect with us on all social media platforms at Endless Journeys, the VetTech Odyssey podcast. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep making a positive impact in the veterinary world. We need you guys. Have a great day.